Hey everyone, it's Matt Morozik, aka MVM3897, with a little update slash tutorial on the Zkuzui, Big Blue Monster. Don't know if I'm still saying it right, but that's what we're going with. So the work still continues on the torso and stuff. I've been able to get quite a bit of time in on this today. It's been nice having an extra day off. It's hotter than hell in my garage, but I've been churning away at it. And it's been going pretty smooth so far. The torso, as I mentioned in my last update on the forums, that everything seems to fit really well so far. And nothing too bad. I mean, I got a couple gaps here and there, but so far everything's really good. So this is kind of an update and also a little tutorial on how to pin things. The cool thing about doing a resin kit, and one reason I like working with resin kits so much, it's kind of a a test or a challenge to make a kit that's not a snap together kit into something that's more like a snap together kit. And you do that by pinning. And pinning has two purposes. It's for the attachment of pieces to other pieces that normally wouldn't just sit there, and it's also for structural integrity. Now for the torso, there is no reason for pinning as far as structure, but it's mainly for getting pieces to stay together. Now, when I move on to the arms, I'm going to show you how I pinning on one of the arm pieces, like this guy right here. This will be pinning for structural integrity as well as the legs. Since these are so heavy, they have a lot of weight. You have to put metal fixtures inside of the resin. Otherwise, over time, the resin will bend, it could break, and so forth. So, as I mentioned, I've been going pretty smoothly on this. Last time I had most of the torso pinned, and today I managed to get all of it pinned. So I have, for the most part, what you saw last time in my photos. And as you can see here, this part here is missing on this side. And what you can see here is what I've done is I've taken and I've created a pin. And a pin is just a brass rod or whatever you want to use. On this kit I'm using a combination of 1/16 inch brass rod, which is this guy. And then for the legs and arms, I'm using 3/32 brass rod, so something a little heavier duty. And then also some other areas I might use, what size? This is 5/32 brass rod, and actually I'm going to have to go up one size on the feet for it to work. But so what I did here is I created a pin, and I drilled it in, and now this just simply will snap into place here, and it stays. So this isn't for structure, but it's primarily just to get the piece to hold. And another thing about doing resin kits is figuring out how pieces go together, because the instructions aren't exactly clear. And this little guy, I think I spent 20 minutes just trying to figure out how this guy attached. And I had to realize that I had to have other pieces in place in order for it to sit up here. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Right there. So this guy couldn't figure out how it fits. Well, it sits on top of this guy, and then I had to figure out that once this is in, it locks it in place. So you see that this is now held in by that. So stuff like that makes working with resin a little challenging because the instructions aren't always clear. Here you can see I've got two spots for these plastic tubes to go into. Now these aren't going to sit in here because the tubes are actually slightly larger than these guys, but these will go off the back side like this. And I'll zoom out so you can exactly see how big this is going to get. But these come off, and you see it doesn't even fit my camera. These come off the side like that. So anyway, little update there. Torso's pinned. I also have the front skirts pinned, and those will sit in pretty easily. Now these are pretty big, so I'm going to again back the camera up and lower it to show you guys how those work. I'm going to try to do this video in one part because I have a tendency to talk a lot. Oops, sorry. So I have to scoot them forward to hang off the edge because these skirts are really long, and I don't have the feet pinned to the torso yet, or the legs pinned to the body. So here's one of the skirts, and it's actually kind of a cool little design here. There's a little tab in there, and they simply just slide on. So when I ship this to my client, those will be removable just for shipping purposes. Here is, if you look at this guy on the right hand side, he's got this like sensor array. 2 pieces here, like that. Those have been pinned together. We've got 2 itty bitty pins right there, and you'll notice they're really short, simply because the holes I drilled right there with my pin vise, the resin's really shallow, so I don't have much room to drill. So they're really short, and they're actually bent just a little bit, and I did that on purpose to create some tension. So now that those will hold, like that. And then this guy comes on like this, and again, none of this is glued yet, it's just put together with these brass rods. If I can get this back together, I will show you how that looks. Give me just a second here. Not wanting to cooperate, of course, now that I'm on camera, but I wanted to give the overall effect of these skirts, because it's pretty cool. Again, this just slides on. Oops. See, those pins are really short, so it's kind of a challenge again. Get it to stay without glue right now. Anyway, you get the idea. That's it's there. I'm not going to futz with it anymore. Went ahead, got the head all pinned together. Got these little doohickeys on the back. It sits right up there, like so. So I'm going to back up the camera even more, and there he is. He's hanging off my front desk my workbench quite a bit. So that's pretty much the torso. Now you notice I don't have the covers on the missile hatches on these guys, and let me show you why. This is one of the areas that's going to take quite a bit of heating and bending. So you got these cool little missile hatches here, all these missiles inside there. I'll just take that out. You'll notice I have a pin right there by my thumb. There's a corresponding hole in the top. And this update / tutorial is going to show you how I mark those. You got this cool little missile hatch, missile here, whatever, launcher. You got a cool missile hatch. And there's a slight problem. There's a little bit of a gap. That should not be there at all. That should be flat. So in another update and tutorial, I'll show you how to go through and straighten that out. It's actually really simple. Just got to be a little careful. Pretty easy. Okay, back to my tutorial on this, and kind of the purpose of this video really today is to show you how I mark for pins. And this is pretty much how I do 90% of my marking for pins. Sometimes I just eyeball it. If the 2 pieces I'm pinning together have a definite center point, I can usually get away with eyeballing it. The part I'm going to show you right now doesn't have that situation, so we're going to do it the way I normally do. So I'm going to start putting the arms on this guy, and they attach, you know, right here. There's the shoulder socket. I've marked this one with an L, so I know it's the left side, and I've already drilled my hole right there. I actually used a drill, just like this, and I just wanted to make sure that when I drilled my hole, it went through this part right here, right through the center there to get some structural integrity. And I went in pretty far. I mean, you can see my drill's in there quite a ways. So now I'll have a metal rod going through this whole section. So now the question is, how do I mark this piece for a rod? Well, it's actually pretty simple the way I do it. I take some of these pieces off here because they're going to fall off as I try to do this. So get yourself some blue tacky, just like this, or yellow tacky, whatever you want, and knead it up so it's nice and warm and sticky. And you're just going to guesstimate where that pin should go. And I know it's kind of towards the top of this area. So I'm going to stick some on, just like that. See? Right there. Pretty simple. Now if it doesn't stick, and this is one area where if you don't clean the resin first with degreaser, sometimes it doesn't stick because it's still greasy. Just take some sandpaper, scuff the area up, or take an X-Acto knife and kind of score it a little bit, and it'll stick. Take your part that you are attaching to it, just like this. And it's pretty simple. I'm going to just put it in the area, and I'm going to give it a little push. Now you will notice that I have, oops, let me get up and focus, an exact area right there with that blue tacky went into the previous part. So basically now I have a male end showing where that should go. So now that that's there, I can do two things. I can take my pin vise and go. What I typically do is just take my X-Acto knife with the pointy blade, and I'll just go in and I'll just mark the center of that spot and just kind of give it a little twist. I take my blue tacky off, and now I have a spot in the resin where the center of my hole is going to go. So I'm going to back this out again because I'm going to use my drill. And this may fall apart on me because I've got it all kind of loosely put together. I'm going to back the camera up a little bit. Now I'm just going to take my drill, making sure I'm on that center spot. You know what I'm going to do first, actually? Just to show you another way. I'm going to start with my pin vise right here, which has the 1/16, just to get a starter hole. So I'm just going to take this and just get a starter hole. Okay, so now I got a little spots for my drill to go. And I'll take my drill and checking to make sure I'm going in straight. I'll start to drill my other hole. Alrighty. As I said, some of this may fall apart because it's just sitting there together. But now, hopefully that's still on camera. I've got my hole right there. Pretty cool. So, now I will take my rod, get yourself a pair of needle nose pliers, push it down in there, and I'm going to cut that off, just like that. Now, I'm going to show you something here, guys, that I run into every once in a while. I have, from the previous part, I have another pin. That's right there. And that's holding on, actually a part that probably doesn't need a pin, but I've got one there anyway. This little doohickey right here. So what happened is now I'm running into that other pin. So, what I'm simply going to do, I'm just going to cut this off till it's pretty short. By the time I epoxy this and everything, I'm not worried too much that having this long. I want the pin really to be in this area where all the weight's going to be. And then, hopefully, if everything works out right, this slides in. And there you go. So now, that piece is pinned. And by the time I epoxy that, it will have plenty of strength to hold that arm on. And this particular side will have a lot of weight because it's the side that holds the rifle or the gun. So there you go. Pinning 101, pretty simple. No real tricks to it, just kind of that's how I do it. Seems to work pretty well. There you go. Thanks for taking a look. I'll post some pictures also on the forum. But again, thanks for looking. Catch you guys next time. Bye.